If you're a true Miami football fan, you have maybe the number 9 locked in your brain right now. 9 days to the Alabama game in Atlanta, Canes and Tide. We will talk it up, as well as, of course, the condition of the football team as they get near the end of fall camp. Cam Underwood on line, of course, from State of the U. He makes it all happen right here. So leave your comments, your questions, your debate topics for Cam and possibly myself right here at Hurricanes Live. Cam, how you doing tonight?
What's going on, guys? Hanging out, chilling. Ready to talk some football. Got just over a week until the game. So next week is got game week and everything. So firing up all of your favorite State of the U columns. Got a couple hopefully new ones that you guys will enjoy. And then at the end of all of that, we got real live football to look forward to. So it's going to be a momentous occasion.
So is your Thursday night schedule still intact, or is that more of a non-summer regimen? Do they change up your viewing schedule after the show on Thursdays?
Yeah, no, we got a variety of things that come on throughout the year. Because usually in the spring it's Top Chef on Thursday, but I'm actually carrying over some stuff from earlier in the week. I usually either watch later the day or the day after. So I got the MTV Challenge, which is like your 5th major sport here in the United States, and it's real world, road rules. That's where it started at. So young, fit people competing in crazy stunts and stuff. So you have that. Those move around, but different things move around. But hey, we'll definitely have some football coming up on Thursday nights and things like that as well. So, some of these reality things that I love to talk about and watch will get pushed a little bit further into down the line, because we'll have real live sports. It should be great.
I hope and believe I can state this for everybody that's watching and listening, and I believe, Cam, that nobody's happy about the events of today as an American, but certainly there's nothing we can do or say to aid that situation. So we will move on with the football, but just want to make that note because, certainly don't want to pretend that we're not aware and mindful of situations overseas. All right, Vontae Williams reinstated. Of course, basically the charges were dropped the other day, and the administration had a decision to make as to reinstate him, and they have chose to do so. It appears.
That's by multiple reports to the Miami Herald, to the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, to the Athletic, and associated beat writers, and that's from Vontae Williams' attorney, who texted those individuals, and most of those individuals put up the screenshots of the texts and information on social media, and then in their researched pieces, because then obviously they're going to say, well, we've heard from the lawyer about this, and then connect with someone, or sourcing information from the University of Miami side. But the multiple reports are that so if you have not been following what happened since a couple of weeks ago, when I came on here and talked about Vontae Williams being dismissed from the team and the university, the charges were dismissed. Now you can sit here and parse that all you want, whether that's the young lady decided that she didn't want to try to ruin his career, or if they were unfounded. I'm not here to dictate any of that. Do what I'm just telling you what it is. The charges were dismissed. The lawyer, again, reached out, said it on social media, connected with some beat writers about it as well, and then made the statement then, and this is a couple days ago after the dismissal, that, he hoped that the University of Miami would rectify the wrong, in his view, of dismissing Vontae Williams and reinstate him, readmit him to the university, and move onward, upward, and forward. And in the course of these last few days, that, again, reportedly is what has transpired. And this is a thing that I did leave space for when we talked about the dismissal to begin with and everything. If this very scenario, and what seems to has been reported to be happening, the charges were dismissed, and obviously the background research and the connection between the school and the player and the legal system and all things like that, then paved the way because he, by the charges being dismissed, is innocent, or, well, I won't say innocent, but there is no charges, or there are no charges or anything pending for this. So take that as innocent, take that as whatever. Again, charges are not there anymore. But if everybody feels comfortable about it, to come back together between player and team and school and move forward, then do that. And again, with Mark Walton, that happened. With Larry Hodges, that happened. Larry Hodges, who was arrested previously, I believe I saw that report. Mark Walton, who had a very public situation in college. The other stuff in the pros and everything that, okay. But the one in college, which was clearly malfeasant. And that meant he was held out away from the team and everything because this situation, I mean, it was all over the national news, that Mark Walton situation. Look back at that one when he was in college. That was some real serious stuff. Saying that he had, hit and abused a woman and then squared off with police because the girl called him late at night talking on some, what, you trying to come through? Yeah, I'm trying to come through. And Kim went over there and the young lady knew a couple officers and they told her to call him to set him up. He shows up to the house like, I'm going to cash in on that text message. You feel what I'm saying? And then, the legal situation with the officers went a different way. And that ended up being resolved and ended up where Mark Walton, all those charges were dismissed and there was nothing that happened with that. And then he was able to come back to the team and move forward. Such seems to be the case with Vontae Williams. And again, we leave room for that. I said that before. Just like I said, if what was charged ended up being true, he needed to go. But this is the other side. It seems as though the charges are dismissed. You can talk about the truthfulness of whatever happened, but the charges were dismissed. That seems to belie that point, and we move forward. In terms of the roster, obviously, he's a very talented player. Number 2 safety in America a couple of years ago coming out of high school, 4-star All-American. I mean, we're talking about him potentially starting from the spring and, early on in the fall from before this happened. The situation unfolded and everything. So you're adding an incredible player back to the roster in terms of football. But the more important thing, the life thing, is, that there has been a settling and a decision made between player and program based upon what was going on in the legal realm, that they were able to move forward with that. And again, by all reports, it seems as though that's the case. But obviously, we're still awaiting official word from the University of Miami, but it has been triply at this point reported by local outlets. So, well, local and one national outlet in The Athletic. But that seems to be the case with Vontae Williams. And again, I wish him the best. I wish the program the best. I have no ill will for any one individual. And so I will say that. But in terms of football, now with all that being said, if 15 is back, that's big in terms of football. And I just gave y'all 5 minutes about other stuff. So don't sit here and just say, you're only concerned about football. Miss me with that. Usually, I try not to curse on Mark's show or anything when we come on and get this. But if y'all really clip that and just say Cam was only concerned about football, didn't say anything else, it's gonna be some smoke in the city. It's gonna be some choice language from me. Trust.
Yeah, for however long you've been watching this show, you should know that Cam and I treat these situations very seriously. We place the humanity well ahead of the football. We're big football fans. That's why we're here, obviously. But we place the humanity way ahead of that. And Cam's got a track record for just not even just here, but if you follow him on Twitter and elsewhere, you understand where his heart is. So I will just say that I believe our justice system is the best in the world if it's being executed correctly. So I'm not saying that it is in every occasion, not at all. There's unfortunately sometimes politics or wealth or authority, power that come into play and skew things, or incompetency at times. But if it's working, then it's working. In this situation, if somebody's declared non-guilty by whatever route, I believe that person needs or is granted a second chance. That they are, of course, not declared innocent because it never got to that point where the evidence needed to be evaluated to that degree, but they're not guilty, just like I'm currently not guilty of any crimes. Therefore, the person should be reinstated is unless there are mitigating circumstances. And for anybody that gets on social media and just kind of declares a judgment one way or the other to say, hey, he's a great football player, put him back on the team, let's not even think about this. Or the other end of the spectrum where, well, he's a horrible person, therefore don't let him back on the football team, needs to understand these situations are complex. So for a school administration, they need to really go step by step methodically to just determine, okay, is this the best thing for the young man, and most importantly, best for us and our football program? And I got to think that as long as there's not a situation where maybe there are some people still involved with the team or connected to the team where they would cause just a awkward or damaging or concerning situation there with the team, then it seems as though I can't wield any negative judgment on what was decided. So there you go. All right. We've got a question coming in from Keensman 305, who's differentiating Manny's preference of defensive ends and defensive line recruiting currently.
I mean, you're really talking about ends and tackles. The thing about it is, again, this is the year of the defensive end down here. You know, you have 4 or 5 All-American guys. You gotta get your fair share, you know. But I need at least 1, maybe 2 defensive tackles as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's not an either or, because you need both. You know, you want to have the dream come true. And Anthony Lucas, who's of Haitian descent, his father is a University of Miami alum, such as myself, was from, or, you know, lived down here, was born down here, moved out to Arizona, you know, 6 foot, 310 pound defense, or 6'4", 320-ish pounds, I want to say, defensive tackle / 500-foot home run hitting first baseman. Lives in Arizona now. You want the dream to come true and him to follow the family legacy and come to the University of Miami. And his father was a student, not an athlete, but still, you would love to have that and get him as an All-American at defensive tackle. But in terms of, you know, local guys, Shamar Stewart's a top 10, you know, top 10 player in this class overall at defensive end. You got Marvin Jones Jr., you got Dante Anderson from Homestead, you got Nigel Lee Kelly from Dillard. There's probably a couple other guys I've given you the list before. You got to get a couple of those guys. So if I had to rank them, I would say ends over tackles this year, especially locally, because the proliferation of really high-level recruits down here is more on the defensive end side, but you definitely cannot overlook the defensive tackle recruiting. Especially, think about where Miami's been with defensive tackles, right? Think about where we were when Al Golden was here, right? Transitioning to Mark Richt, seeing what has been done through the Mark Richt era into the Manny Diaz era in recruiting and developing defensive tackles, where that position is you could make an argument that that's the most talented position on this team. I'm going to go safety, probably running back, but I mean, you could make the argument based upon what's in that room of defensive tackle that it's among the best rooms, among the best position groups on this team. When was the last time you were able to say that about defensive tackles at the University of Miami? Been a while. So you cannot ignore them at all. You know what I'm saying? This is why we're talking about, again, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. I wrote a feature a couple of years ago on stateoftheu.com. It's still pinned on the front page, called The Recruiting Rules. I put a lot of time and research into it. I really honestly believe it. One of the rules is stacking elite classes on top of each other. So you cannot ignore one just for a year and say, okay, we're good on defensive tackle. You got guys who leave. Say the same thing about defensive ends now, right? This year has fallen off a little bit because we don't necessarily have the household names. Why? Gregory Rousseau, gone. NFL, first round draft pick, Going to start in Buffalo, has the highest and the highest rate of pass rushing wins of anybody in the league through the preseason so far, is leading every rookie in all of these metrics about getting to the quarterback. He's not here anymore. Jalen Phillips, been a little injured. People tweeting about him today in the Dolphins backfield at practice, blowing stuff up, can't block him, can't stop him. He's not here anymore. Quincy Roche in Pittsburgh, making things happen. All these dudes talk about, yo, this dude, Quincy Roche, number 48. Man, look at him. Look at the handwork. Look at him bend. Look at the first step. Look at all that. In the league now in the preseason, going up against some twos. But hey, guys at the second string level make the league as well, right? He's not here anymore. So now the question is, without those guys, what happens at defensive end? But Miami's been recruiting defensive ends, so we don't necessarily know the names, but we have the talent in that room. Same thing for defensive tackle would need to happen, because you're going to lose these guys out of this room eventually. Okay, so that's the short story long. But for me, defensive end number 1, defensive tackle number 2, if we're ranking those in this class, again, just because there's so much talent at defensive end in this local area, but both of them matter.
The next step for this program is to win double-digit games on a regular basis, compete for ACC championship games, seriously compete for the championship game, which they already have done, but win the ACC, compete for the playoffs. And to do that, you can't ignore any position. Yes, there are elite positions. Obviously, there are elite players at any position, but quarterback, rush end, corner, left tackle. But you can't ignore any position. You can't have a bad position on your team and still compete for playoff spots. You can't do that. You're always going to have positions that are better than others, but you can't have a weak spot on the team and be that good.
Exactly.
Which kind of leads us into Benzai Kane here, who says, is Nick Saban looking past this game?
No.
No. No.
I mean, you said, well, yeah, I mean, I would wait till you finish, but I mean, no, like, it does get to be a little bit monotonous or repetitive, but think about all of the things that Saban says, right? Before a game, at halftime, after a game, middle of October on a Tuesday after practice. Look, we have a standard. We're trying to compete to that standard. And that's the most important thing. So we need to play every single play up to that standard. And if we can't have that standard, then we're going to get somebody out there who can reach that standard. But we're not overlooking anything. And and you can go back and look at the ones that people talk about on social media for a day or two, when it's like, y'all keep asking me this stuff about looking past or looking to Auburn or looking to whomever. But this week we got South Central Louisiana Tech, and they're going to line up across from us. And we're focused on that, because that's how you get greatness, by every single play. And you can look up, there's so many times that he said stuff like that, right? And about teams that, with all due respect, are nowhere near the quality program, in general. The logo doesn't hold as much weight as Miami, nor is the team as good as this team is going to be this year, about whom he has said these kind of things. You got a national TV audience, right? You got a destination game in Atlanta, one of the premium kickoff classic games that you can have anywhere. And as you all know, you're always recruiting. And what have we talked about on this very show for multiple years, Mark? Nick Saban coming down here and getting the cream of the crop, whoever he wants, or the majority of those head-to-head battles of top guys from down here in South Florida. Do you need the names? Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Jordan Battle starting at safety this year, Josh Jobe starting at corner this year, Pat Surtain II, Alex Leatherwood, who's from Florida, not from South Florida, but 5-star from the Panhandle, who went over there as well. Evan Neal, who's from Florida, and and went to IMG, had Miami as a finalist. Most people thought he was going to come here. Now he's there, going to start at left tackle, and is doing plyometric box jumps and catching them in splits and all kind of do I need to go on? Because the list goes on, right? So now you have the on-field opportunity to continue your dominant legacy currently of beating a marquee team such as Miami. And you have the ancillary recruiting win to talk about, hey, Miami did all right. They beat us for a couple of guys, but we've beaten them for more guys. And there's even more guys on our roster who wouldn't even look Miami's way. So do you want to be one of those guys who goes there and maybe, to Mark's point, win 10 games a time in your 4 years of college? Or you want to come here and win all the time and get developed by the best? We got the best NIL situation because all of our boosters are ready to be here and support you and be 3 or 4 years to the NFL in the first or second round of the draft. You tell me, superstar. But we have a standard at Alabama. Are you to the standard? Because if you're to the standard, come on down. That's also a thing that's going on Saturday, September the 4th, is that recruiting. Is that thing where he can now come back down here and say, we haven't even played them in a while, and we've been whooping their ass on the trail. Now you see what happens when they're on the field. You're trying to be over there. You're trying to be over here. All of that being said, and there's more, and there's plenty more. All of that being said, if you think for a second that Nick Saban's overlooking anything, you crazy.
Cam took a great angle there. That's I cannot in any way add to it or subtract from it or discount it in any way. I support that 100% because that makes total sense. I'll take this angle. Select your GOAT in any field, and you don't even have to go to that extreme of the greatest of all time, just people that excel at what they do. And sometimes you may want to be tempted to ask the question, why would Michael Jordan be the first one in the gym or the last one to leave the gym? He's the greatest. Well, that was partially the reason why he got to be the greatest with that type of attitude. And to Cam's point, when they play, meaning Alabama, New Mexico State or Western Kentucky or whomever the group of fives in the FCS is, does Nick Saban somewhere back in that brain know that there's no way they can lose and they'll stop them by 50 or 60? Yes, but he doesn't communicate that in any way, shape, or form, in any mannerism to his team. And now we're talking about, let's get to the talent on the roster and the ability of the team. Alabama's going to play LSU, Auburn, Florida, Texas A&M. That would be at the top of the list. Ole Miss. Where does Miami rank? Well, we'll just have to wait and see for all the games to be played this season. Miami could be the 5th best team they play. They could be the best team they play. They could be. Because I don't think there's any clear differentiation between maybe Texas A&M would seem, maybe LSU would seem to be the best teams, but it would not shock me at the end of the year if Miami was the best team Alabama played in the regular season. And they could be the 5th best, but still be, like the 15th best team in the country.
Right, both of those are entirely possible. I mean, you can obviously debate which one you think is probable, but it's possible for sure. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and with the greater that your talent is, the more work is required to meet that talent. That's why when I taught choir, we didn't just sing for 2 minutes a day. You know what I mean? When we got really good, and we always had rehearsals because I had 5 different choirs and everything like that. And I would impress it upon them. I said, your talent necessitates that we work, that we feed that talent, right? Because if you misplace a breath and you're trying to traverse a difficult run, you're not going to be able to get there, right? But if you think about this other choir, and you've heard them, if you think about these other singers, right, they're able to do that. Why? Because they put the time in. So if you're, late in the game, and I need that play, I need that release, I need that pass rush, I need that pass block, I need that whatever. How many times have you worked on that? You know what I mean? How much have you dedicated yourself to the pursuit of excellence that you were able to summon that? Because you have not just, and Friday Night Lights, you're not Boobie Miles. He's more talented than you, but he ain't work like it, right? blew out his knee. But you know what I'm saying? Like, think if Bowie Miles had a singular focus, right, and just worked out all the time, to the top level, because his talent required that, and he wasn't able to necessarily live up to all of that. Look, man, it's not easy, and it's not going to be. Look, it's not easy to win games. Not a game, not multiple games, not 10 games, not a championship. And this is going to be a very, very, very tough game. And everybody wants to win this game. And the only way that you get, for Alabama, who's looking at a national championship or trying to defend and repeat as national champions, the only way that you get there, or the clearest way that you get there, is with a win next Saturday, right? And then a win the next week, and then a win the next week. But you got to go 1-0 every week, right? That's what you want to do. That's what you want to have. But that starts with going 1-0 against Miami. So, yeah, you want to end up 12-0, but it starts with the 1. But it's a marquee game. And okay, I haven't even touched on the fact that, like, they got so many guys from Florida, or so many guys that we've recruited, whether they're from Florida or other places, they want to show out. They know guys on this roster. Look, Jordan Battle, whose father I worked with for a time when I first started teaching, way back when at Deerfield Beach High School in Norfolk. Jordan Battle wanted to be a Miami Hurricane. Look it up. Talk to anybody you want to. Fact. Wanted to be a Miami Hurricane. Early on, Miami said, we're concerned that you're not physical enough to play safety here. Word. For real? All right. Goes to Aquinas. Gets better. Has that chip on his shoulder. Said, I'm going to be physical. I'm going to show you physical. Did. Alabama came around. Offered all that visit and everything. Cool. Hey, looks like he's going that way. Miami then came back around and said, hey, Jordan, why don't you consider taking a visit to the University of Miami? Look, we might have gotten off on the wrong foot. Look, we might not have met you at the area of your desire when you wanted to be a Hurricane as a high school sophomore and junior. But now as a senior, why don't you come on down and visit? And he did. And he said, nah, I'm good. And is now starting at safety for Alabama. You think that he's not trying to come down in Atlanta next week and bust Miami's ass? When I'm out here begging for an offer and y'all said I'm not physical enough now, and now I'm starting on the defending national champions against the team that I wanted to play for, that my father roots for, and y'all said I'm not good enough? Come on, man. Come on. Intrinsic value, extrinsic motivation, whatever it is. They trying to win this game just like we trying to win this game.
What I took out of all of that, in addition to all the information, the insight, the storytelling, everything, is just exactly that. Folks, Cam, I could make a list of like 87 reasons why we've been doing this for this long and why I continue to ask him to be here and consider this to just be his show anyway. So just the storytelling, the insight, the information, the knowledge, and the ability to deliver it with passion and detail. So hope all of you understand what you get here every Thursday night, 7:00 Eastern time. We're here talking Miami football. So we hope you appreciate that. And speaking of which, I will get to some of the super chats. So some of you certainly do appreciate it. And so thank you for that. I did a search to see if there was anything with this. So are you understanding of the comment made here by Island Canes involving Rob Likens
and Stephen Field?
Okay.
Yeah, basically they have secondary roles associated with their titles. So Rob Likens, pass game coordinator, and Stephen Field, singular, not S, Field, recruiting coordinator among the on-field coaches. I believe that Likens already had that position as passing game coordinator. I do believe that Field added that this year. But basically what that is the ability to pay these guys a little bit more and then value the work that they do. And Likens has been an offensive coordinator in other places. So having him as passing game coordinator does make sense. Entitled, but I mean, Lashley's calling the offense. And then, Steve Field, was a former high school coach. He's worked in the recruiting department at Louisville, Florida A&M, Louisville, and Oregon before coming down back home to Miami, where he played, and everything. So, and he's either among or at the top of the list for best recruiting on-field coach on staff. So it makes sense to make him, recruiting coordinator and then kick him a couple extra, ducats every year. But I mean, yeah, just another enticement for those guys and valuing the work that they do and the relationships that they have, both on and off the field. But yeah, good to them both.
Just the way I read that, I didn't know if that was a recent move made.
Yeah. Like I said, I do think that the Field adding that title is more recent than Likens, because I believe Likens already had that. If I had that correctly, I believe.
King 305, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that. Also, Falconer X with the super sticker that I had posted earlier. Appreciate that as always. Falconer X. Hey, Cam, Mark, do you think Vontae plays this year?
I don't think that it's a matter. Well, officially, when reinstated, which again has been multiply reported. So if that comes to fruition, as I believe that it should, based upon the multiple reports and sourcing of the journalists that I've already mentioned, I think that it's not a matter of if he plays; it's a matter of when. Obviously, I haven't been away from the team for a couple of weeks, would maybe set that timeline back a little bit. If he had been here and working with the ones all the way through this time, because it's been a week and a half that he's been gone, you might have him in consideration even to start against Alabama, if not play heavy snaps. I think that maybe you're targeting a little bit later in the year with a little bit of absence through fall camp and the beginning of game prep practices. But yeah, if fully reinstated, I believe that he will see the field this year. Yeah.
Island Canes, we appreciate your contribution as well with the super chat. Just to follow up to the statements that Cam and I made, not in Saban's DNA to look past this game, of course. But his team of 18 to 22-year-olds, that's a different story. Well, point well taken. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Nick Saban has been somehow able to thrust his process and his mindset into those 18 to 22-year-olds, because it doesn't show that they look past anyone.
Yeah.
Are they human? Do they lose a game? Typically kind of average one a year. That seems to be, we've got about 4 schools out there that lose an average of 1 game per year. Alabama separated itself once they get to the playoffs. But my goodness.
Yeah, but I mean, losing a game a year.
Yeah.
Versus
you're human.
Overlooking. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's, I mean, you can lose and be beaten. That's not necessarily overlooking somebody. That's not, that's not mailing in a performance. You want to talk about overlooking somebody and mailing in a performance? Remember Miami FIU. You know what I mean? Remember some of those kind of losses? The ones that are like, when I say Miami should be 10-2 solidly this year, really should be 11-1, but have come so very far from that, come up so short, losing games that really shouldn't. That's what, I mean, not every single game, but a lot of those are the ones that we're talking about. But, I mean, it is possible to beat Alabama. Alabama has been beaten. Can Miami do what needs done to beat Alabama next week, Saturday? We'll see. But, I don't necessarily think that it's going to be, it's not going to be, 58-0 Miami. It's not going to be 40-3 like the Peach Bowl against LSU in 2004. Where I've told y'all that I was getting pizza going over to my friend's house. I got there literally as they're going to break after the field goal with the old ESPN, that theme. Cool. All right, 3-0. We're going to run this. And did not score again that day. It's not going to be that reversed where Miami's going to do that to Alabama. I don't think. But if it is, I will have a party.
Yeah, there's nothing on Nick Saban's record at Alabama that indicates looking past anybody at all.
Especially recently.
Yeah, the only thing close to it, like his most embarrassing loss would be that national championship loss to Clemson, 44-16. But you're talking about the best team in the country. Clemson apparently was. There was an argument going into the game who it was, but still that game wasn't as much of a rout as the scoreboard would show. But that's really the one game where it kind of got out of control. Otherwise, if you look at Alabama's losses through the years, it takes a kick six. It takes
Johnny Manziel, a literal Heisman moment the entire game. You know what I mean?
It takes Ohio State having like this ridiculous NFL team. It takes
Cameron Newton capping off one of the best single seasons in college football history with a singular performance again. Those kind, you know what I mean?
And they're always that close.
Right. So that just means that Derrick King needs to have 500 total yards and 7 touchdowns next Saturday. I'm with it.
Eric says that ATL is not a neutral site game. If the game was like the original Kickoff Classic in the Meadowlands, those were the days, the game should be in Kansas City or St. Louis. Yeah.
That's not neutral really either, because they're going to travel out that way because they're closer, you know. And again, it's a larger fan base. And you're going to have a lot of bandwagon fans because they're what's hot in these streets right now. But I mean, like, so where would you go that would be truly neutral? Probably nowhere.
Jacksonville.
Ish, maybe. Yeah, like, other than that, I mean, and still, that would still probably, I think, lean their way. You know, but yeah, it's not truly a neutral site or anything. But what are you going to do?
All right. Somebody had asked the question. This was a very general question, just looking for the starters across the board. I'll ask it in this way, so you're not pressed to go through the entirety of the team. I think we know who's starting at quarterback, for example. What positional units is there still a battle and not a reported starter where things need to be solidified here in the last week?
Defensive line, both positions, ends and tackles. Tackles, because we have so many who really could play with the ones, whether it's Jared Harrison Hunt, Jordan Miller, Nessa Silvera, hell, even Leonard Taylor getting reps with the twos. I don't know if he's gotten with the ones, but multiple options at the top of that rotation. Same thing with defensive end. And that's really looking for the right combination there between Zach McLeod, who I forgot until the very end last week, so don't whatever. So Zach McLeod, Jafari Harvey, Chance Williams, and now I can't remember who the fourth one is. Whatever. But there's 4 guys who are competing for those 2 slots as well. So, yeah, just finding out which combination of 4, what.
Cam, you're going to love this comment.
Okay.
You ready for this one?
Yes.
So we got Santosh here. We need to see Cam debate your Florida State guys before the match this season. Would be hilarious to watch and even funnier to see Mark try and mediate it.
That's funny. I got you. I mean, when rivalry week comes around, we will turn our attention to the rivalry game played at Hard Rock Stadium North on the campus of the school next to Florida A&M in Tallahassee, Florida. We can turn our attention there then. Sure, that's perfectly fine. But, I mean, hey, why not?
And we appreciate the Super Chat contribution, sir. Thank you so much for that. Chuck C is here frequently contributing. Thank you for that, Chuck C. Thanks, fellas. Never mind Saban. Most good coaches in any sport are full of anxiety and rarely overlook an opponent. Saban's greatness is his ability to get his players, I don't know why most and players are included in quotes, but to do the same
50-yard line, row 18. Hey, you got good tickets, man.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, it is a thing where you do need to be focused on each and every one. I mean, whether it's a game, whether like I always, when I talk choir, I worried about every note that we sang in every song, every performance, every time, because the last time that's the most recent thing that you have, So if somebody hears us sing only one, or heard us sing only the one time, and we stunk. How is this an award-winning choir director? How is this one of the best programs around? How is it? I heard them and they were terrible. How was Miami this 5-time championship program? I watched them in the bowl game against Oklahoma State and they looked like trash. They had a freshman hit them for 144 yards and 3 touchdowns. And this is a 5-time championship program. And this is the one game I've ever watched. I watched them get their doors blown off in 2015 against Clemson. It was 58-0, and I've never watched Miami again. How are y'all trying to tell me that this? Because you have to be concerned about that. You do, right? See how I flipped that from personal into the Miami? See how I did that seamlessly? It's the same thing, man. You have to be concerned about that because you're only as Outcast. You're only as funky as your last cut. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to, but this is where Miami fans, opposing fans talk about Miami fans are looking in the rearview mirror. We're looking at the championship case way, way, way back because we got to leap over the stuff that's right behind us because it's bad, right? So you have to be concerned about that. You have to know, and you have to know what you're doing, and you have to be looking to put your best foot forward. Now, if Miami, in the Al Golden era, and we're trying to say, okay, look, we want to be 9-4. We're trying to get to that because we've not been that recent. We want to cross that 10-win vanguard, that threshold, sure. But you always have to be concerned with doing your absolute best. You have to have that anxiety. And in the world of college football today, if you don't have that anxiety spurring you forward, then you're going to lose your goddamn job as a coach. So, I mean, yeah, it's a lot, man. But this is the beauty of sport, and I can't wait till we can talk about actual games coming up real soon. Oh, Jonathan Jones. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, when you were taking us through the perception that a lot of people have of particular players, teams, whatever, that aren't ingrained in it every day, that took me back to a number of settings, social settings, parties, whatever, where you do run across people, and it makes you realize not everybody's watching college football all the time and reading about it every day and ingrained. And, you come across those people where you just have a casual discussion and you realize this person really doesn't know what they're talking about. That's fine. They're not in it. They're not involved. They're not a super fan. They're maybe just a general sports fan that really their thing's the NBA or something else, or maybe they're not a sports fan and they just know one little thing and they'll, to back off and not drill them and say, you really don't know what you're talking about, X, Y, and Z. But yeah, these are the type games that get lodged in the general sports fans' memory of, oh, that's what the Miami football program is all about. I haven't watched a game in 3 years. Maybe the last game they saw was Notre Dame 2017 or some bowl game or something, and I'm going to watch this Alabama, Miami. Check this game out. Yeah, Miami's not any good. They're down 42-10 in the third quarter, whatever, and that's all they're going to take from that.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if it was a 2017 Notre Dame game, they probably tuned in after that and tried to figure out where Miami was because Miami was back in the front of people's brains. And nothing was the same afterwards.
But those situations, those social settings, somebody will say, oh, you're an Ohio State fan, or you're this, or you're that. And they'll bring up a player from like 10 years ago, and they'll say, oh, yeah, that's where. You're like, yeah, you probably don't know what's going on.
No, sure,
I don't,
sure
you don't even want to really start a conversation because you're like, I can't really have a conversation with you.
Like, oh, yeah, Joey Galloway.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing well on television.
Yeah, he's had like a 17-year NFL career since then and a broadcasting career.
But, but But to Jonathan Jones's question, sorry,
Yes.
turn this back. I don't think that the second corner job is secure. I don't think so either. I don't think that that's been settled fully, along with defensive end and tackle. Linebacker? Like, I mean, there's questions about who's going to start on defense for me. It does seem like a lot of the other positions, especially on offense, have been pretty solidified. But we'll see.
Roger Shaw, we so much appreciate the super chat. I find it somewhat amusing, though, and interesting that you chose the super chat to convey this. Why does everybody save themselves a penny when they give a super chat? Here is 10 extra cents to cover 10 of them.
I mean, maybe it's... No, I'm not going to say that. That would be a bad analogy to use here. Moving on. But thank you, Roger. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Roger. Maybe it's just ingrained in our minds. We've been shopping forever, and
Right.
everything's $18.99 or $29.99. Where was I going to go? I lost it. I had another subject at hand. Well, the Rod Farva question for Miami fans. What program do you respect more out of Florida State and Florida? Okay, well, Cam's gone through this one.
I'm going to keep it real short. I respect Florida State. I dislike and do not respect the University of Florida at all for any reason. And I applied there, and I got in there, and I turned them down. So don't even say, oh, well, it's a better academic school you could go to. Da, 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 da. If you follow me on social, you know where I went to school, bro. I went to Cranbrook. It's a private school. We were number 2 in America behind Phillips Exeter when I was in high school. Literally. Phillips Exeter number 1, Cranbrook number 2, every other high school in America. Bro, don't try me. Don't try me with that. So, and I know people will say, oh, well, then Florida was such a great academic school. I told my college counselor that was my backup school. That was my fallback plan because I applied to other places. I was trying to vibrate higher than that. But Florida State, I respect. Florida, I do not. Do Battle and Bubba Bolden play the same position? Well, to be fair, I haven't followed Jordan Battle in a granular kind of way since he was recruited. So take this with a grain of salt because I'm not following them like that. But I mean, they do both play the safety position. I know that Bolden has been more of a free safety here. I think Battle's been similar because they had another safety who was more physical, kind of more into the box. Although, again, I'm not saying that he's not physical because we've had that conversation already. But they're very, in that way, similar. I would need to look at more of what Battle's done on the field to really compare their games. Who do I think is better? Same answer. I would really need to look more. I mean, I know that they're both good. I know that they both start and everything. But just to go further than that, I think I am not prepared to adequately answer that without just making something up. And I value you guys too much just to do that.
I will add to that just in this way, but I will confirm in the same way. You know, you're picking out 2 players, 2 very good players, but still 2 out of thousands across the country. So I'm not going to pretend to know or have an accurate evaluation of those 2 players. Bubba Bolden, I would think, I have not looked at the All-ACC first team or any of the selections preseason, but I would guess that he's prominent as an All-ACC player. I would think so, right?
Wasn't he voted?
Bubba Bolden?
All-ACC.
I cannot find Jordan Battle on one of the first 3 teams All-SEC. Does that mean a lot? Not a ton, but it's an indication, obviously, of who's really good.
Yeah, Bubba Bolden, was first team All-ACC preseason this year. He was the leading vote getter of any safety. He was the leading vote getter of any. He was the leading vote getter of anybody in the secondary. He was the third highest vote getter on the entire first team All ACC, behind Brian Bresee and Miles Murphy, both respectively from Clemson. He was one of 3 players on the defense who got 100 votes. And he was, let me see, so that would be 6th highest vote getter on first team All ACC across all positions. So pretty good.
Pretty good. The first thing I recognized or noticed about Bubba Bolden was he just is a crisp tackler. The first thing that I noticed about him was just him hitting guys and wrapping them up with perfect form.
Yeah, he was very good at that for a long time, and then he wasn't for a couple of games. Like at the beginning of the year and everything, you know, we're winning these games, obviously leading up to the Clemson game and everything. He had an argument in the conversation of best defensive players in the country through the first 4 or 5 games last year. Really, truly incredible what he was doing. And then for a couple games, he just didn't. And I remember writing The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I was like, where's 21? He's in the picture, you know, and I asked that because he had made all those plays. He was playing to the level of being in the conversation of the current best players on defense in America. That's the level he was playing to. And then 3 tackles, 2 tackles the next game. What happened? You know what I mean? But yeah, when he's on, there are few in the country who are on his level. And Jordan Battle could be one of those. But Miami has one of, if not the best, safety rooms in America. And number 21, Bubba Bolden, leads the way there for sure.
Yeah, of course, he came into the college ranks very highly touted. That was a recruiting battle between Miami and USC, correct?
No, that was not Miami and USC. That was USC and some other West Coast teams.
And he initially committed to USC.
Right. See, and so then he was there. He had the incident. He got kicked out of their school. He went to the JUCO or whatever.
Texas.
And it was,
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought it was Texas.
And so then when he came back, because he had a 1-year suspension, a 365-day thing is what that policy is at USC. So after 365 days, now I'm eligible to return for whatever. You can go look up that scenario. I don't remember all the details, to be perfectly honest. But then when they're cool, now I can come back to the level we're going to be good, that's when it became, am I going to go back to USC? Or am I going to follow Brevin Jordan, who I played high school with at Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, and take Martell, who's transferring down from O State, who was the quarterback on that same team, that national championship high school team from Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas? Are we now going to move over there to Miami and do that? That's where it was between Miami and USC, not initially coming out of high school, though.
Okay. Yeah, it was that second game of the season against Louisville that he caught my eye.
Yeah, he was
of course.
So good.
Yeah. And Louisville's got the type guys, that, Des Fitzpatrick, Tutu Atwell at the time, that was supposed to be a really good game. And he's wrapping dudes up in space, coming out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. Did I have him? I just looked up The Good, the Bad, the Ugly really quickly because, I didn't. Yeah, I sure did give him his own bullet point. 11 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a forced fumble. He was everywhere, literally making tackles on opposite. Yes, that's the one we talked about, where on one play, he was 2 yards from the line of scrimmage on the Miami sideline making a tackle. They go hurry up, come back, and he's 7 yards downfield on the Louisville sideline making a tackle literally on consecutive plays. But yes, I remember that game now. He was literally everywhere. You want to be close to the line, short, intermediate, deep. You want to be literal sideline to sideline. It didn't matter because one play I'm here, next play I'm 53 1/3 yards wide by however many yards deep on the other sideline, still making the play because I'm that dude. That's what he was doing early in the season. I remember that now. Yeah.
And I'm not the guy that finds tackling to be pretty, but for some reason he almost makes it look, when he's at his best, makes it look good.
Yeah, no, that was an incredible game he played that night. No, yeah, definitely.
Jalaskio, thank you so much for loving our channel here at the Voice of College Football. Cam makes it happen here on Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Without him, there is no Miami Hurricanes live. And we'll also keep this in mind. And Cam, the offer's here for you. I will say that I haven't contacted you directly about this because I just figured Cam's busy. He's not going to do this. Anyway, I'm going to be live for 24 consecutive hours. I think I mentioned this. Yeah. But I'm going to have some people come in and give me a break for an hour or two. So you are welcome to do that at a time of your choice, obviously, of your convenience, if you would like. And that's not going to be here. That'll be on the main channel that I'm going 24 consecutive hours. But I'll take about 3 2-hour breaks would be phenomenal for those folks that can give me that. But and we'll have Miami post game here after the game as well.
Every people call my people. We'll set something up.
All right.
That's really joking because that's going to be Mark talking to me about it. You know.
All right, folks. I think we're just about there. Don't see anything else we need to get to. There might be one. No, that's Roger Shaw. So we are. We're going to be here next Thursday night, hopefully, and that's one of the reasons you got to hit the bell for the notifications once you subscribe, because we have schedules that sometimes have to be in flux, but we make it a point to be here every Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time with Cam. But again, be locked in on those notifications just in case we've got to switch up times and days, etc. But we will just be 2 days away, most likely the next time we convene.
In the month of September by that time.
That's right. That's right. All right, Cam. State of the U. Anything in particular?
Just finishing up the off-season stuff and picking pieces for our fall coverage and setting that calendar and hitting the ground running for you guys on Monday, because Monday starts game week, which is pretty crazy. So we're going to do that. We're going to, continue to lead the way with commentary and analysis for Miami Hurricanes, and, be here throughout the season. And I'm someone who's been here for a long time, obviously from the first day that I enrolled at the University of Miami, the day after my 19th birthday, and having just turned 40. You can do
21 years. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it was August 18th of 2000. So the day after my 19th birthday, that was the day I became a Hurricane. I've been a Hurricane ever since. So people want to say, oh, you celebrate the good times in storm and sunshine. At any and all times, it's all about the U. And that's what we are over at State of the U as well. All about the U 100% of the time. So please come on over and fan with us, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at the State of the U. My personal Twitter account is at Underwood Sports, where I talk about all kinds of other stuff, including like a 74 tweet string about Game of Thrones, responding to somebody put up these questions. So I quote tweeted it. I came up with a hashtag because sometimes people don't want to see the stuff. So I came up and said Thrones Revisited and said, just mute that hashtag. I'm going to use that for all of my tweets, but I do that over there. And then, of course, the website itself, stateoftheu.com. Make an SB Nation account and join into the website. You can come in and comment with your friends in there, like Bergie and JP and all of us who are writers and contributors over there. And again, we're going to really ramp it up. I know that I've been focused and kind of taking a little bit of a break, focused on the day job and stepping away a little bit throughout the off season, just because we all need that personal time. But really kicking it back up to, turn the volume up to 12 for you guys. We're going to be there. It's going to be a great season, and we're going to look to create a great season for you over at State of the U as well. So any and every available channel, please come on through and connect with us. We are looking forward to it. We have some great stuff for you, and really appreciate your continued support and look forward to having a great football season with and for you guys on the website.
Max says we need 200 likes. Santosh says, whoever dislikes this video, I will find you. There are tons of complimentary remarks in the comment section, so we appreciate those so much. Thank you for your support. And look at the ticker down below. So what happens every so often is somebody will say after, it may hit you 10 minutes from now, man, They really deliver. Cam does a great job. I would love to contribute. So Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Mark Rogers TV. It's actually a better route, wink, wink, than YouTube. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. The only thing I would ask is that you would put some type of notation on there, Cam or Miami, something like that. All right. Most likely next Thursday night, but hit that bell for the notifications to know when we go live. And we will see you as we will really dig deep for Alabama and Miami preview coverage next week. Cam, always appreciated, man.
No problem, brother. We'll talk to you soon.